We've got the Acura RDX.
The A-Spec, the only one sold in Canada, huh?
Sport mode.
Nice thing about RDX, for a standard base engine, it's only sold with one engine. It has some good power. What's under the hood of this thing?
A 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a 10-speed automatic transmission. 272 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. Standard all-wheel drive in Canada, front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive options are available in the U.S.
Premium fuel is recommended, and you get about 632 kilometers or 393 miles to every fill. So the only vehicles that compete against this that have more standard power with their base engine are the Stelvio from Alfa Romeo and then the GV70 with the 2.5-liter turbo. So there's been some packaging changes, especially north of the border. Let's get into what do you get with this? What are the key standard features?
The RDX comes with a 7-inch multi-information display, a 10.2-inch center display with true touchpad interface, navigation, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a wireless charger, a 12-way power driver and passenger seat with lumbar support, ultra-suede and leather-trimmed upholstery, heated and ventilated front seats, driver's seat memory, a heated steering wheel, ELS Studio 3D premium sound system, a panoramic sunroof, and a hands-free power tailgate. All of these features are not standard in the US since there are more trims. We'll get into those trims later in the video.
Well, there are so many buttons here. We do kind of like buttons, but this might be a little overkill. What are we going to put it in?
Got to put it in, ask for subscribe. And if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the couple car review, twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure you like and subscribe, but also follow on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea to see what's going on behind the scenes. For me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button. And it's been a little while since we've driven the RDX, but it was really nice and refreshing to get back into it. And you know what? This is just a good all-rounder. How are you liking it over there?
I like it a lot. I think that Acura did a really great job with the performance of this vehicle. You put it in sport mode, everything firms up, steering gets a little bit heavier. Of course, you get some piped-in sound into the cabin. But you put it in normal mode and it's just such a comfortable drive. I really like it.
That's because we're driving the A-Spec with the adaptive suspension.
Yeah.
It used to only be sold on the non-A-Spec model. That made no sense. And about a year ago, they made that change to give the one that looks sportier have the adaptive suspension. That's the one we've got. If you don't get this model, you still have the changes of the throttle and the engine, just not the suspension.
I prefer the damper system for sure. In Canada, it's only available on the top trim, and in the US on the advanced model.
Now the feeling of this is really quite light. So if you're somebody that likes a really tossable and maneuverable vehicle, especially for city driving, the steering is not too heavy.
No.
And it just has a general lightness around it when you drive it.
A few people have commented to us about this 10-speed automatic transmission and that they found that it really hunts for gears. I don't find that at all in our test model. I think that it is terrific. It is smooth and quick shifting.
But just think about what you have at play here. You've got 10 possible gears.
Yeah.
So it might just be shifting more. It's not that it's hunting.
No.
It's just that it's got more available gears. So maybe that's what you're feeling.
Sometimes I just love to accelerate so I can feel the shifts because it's so smooth. I'm like obsessed with it.
So it might actually be dropping 2 or 3 gears when you're trying to do a maneuver for passing and things like that. So this is A-Spec in Canada.
Yeah.
What I mean is all you get is A-Spec in Canada. So the base model, the Tech and the Elite, they used to call them, right, are all gone. In the US, there's still more options available. They've just gone with this look. It's the look I would choose anyway, but I think some people might miss the chrome that's not really on this vehicle.
Yeah, I think that's it. 5 trims in the US now and only 2 in Canada. So if you get the non-A-Spec model, you get the chrome exterior accents and the brighter wheels. A-Spec models, you get the black exterior accents and the darker wheels.
So maybe we should explain why they've done this. This is our theory anyway. They brought out a new CRV, and the top trim of the CRV bumps up to about $50,000. Before the CRV was introduced last year, the Acura RDX used to start at $46,000.
Yeah.
So they couldn't have a premium model cost less than their mainline top hybrid model. So I think that's why they've just gone A-Spec.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that it's not that Acura has raised the prices a lot on their RDX model. It's just that they're offering less trims. Of course, it's still super competitive in the US. You can get a base model at a really great price point. And we used to say, you know, that the RDX offered a ton of value.
The best value.
Yeah, and still the case in the US. It's just too bad that we don't at least have the tech trim in Canada, which is actually what we used as our best value trim on the RDX.
It was a home run, that thing.
It comes standard with LED dual eye headlamps, LED tail lamps, 19-inch wheels in the US, 20-inch in Canada because of the A-Spec model, and you get a temporary spare tire. On the A-Spec model, it also adds LED fog lights.
Well, we don't need to spend too much time on the outside. You know what an RDX looks like. And then we turn our attention to the inside. So this is the A-Spec model with the red seats. Love them or hate them, you're going to decide that. What hasn't changed, and they haven't made any updates, is the center console really is polarizing.
Yeah.
So for us, the biggest switch in the center of the dash is the dynamic mode. It's probably the one you use the least.
Yeah.
Push button transmission, not a favorite of ours. And then a trackpad, the least favorite thing of ours when it comes to infotainment screens. So there's a lot of misses right here in the middle.
What I will give Acura credit for is the comfort level of the seats. There's lots of thigh support. If you get the A-Spec model in Canada, you get the 12-way power seats, but this top trim is 16-way power seats, and I like the bolster.
That's 4 more, Andrea.
It's 4 more. So I think it's pretty good. We went through the key standard features already, so we know what you're getting in Canada. The top trim in Canada adds things like the surround view monitor, a head-up display, heated rear seats, which might be something that you're interested in.
And the adaptive suspension. That's the reason why you want to tick that box.
That's right, it's a biggie.
In the United States, there are 5 trims available and a lot of options for different budgets. One up from the base model adds a wireless charger, leather trimmed upholstery, and the ELS Studio sound system. You want that for sure. The A-Spec model adds ventilated front seats, and the top 2 trims add the extra features that we get on our Canadian top trim. Plus, you'll find the heated steering wheel on the advanced trim. We don't really focus too much on sound systems because sound is really subjective, what's good to you and others. But I will say, Acura and the ELS sound system is a very good system. We have a question coming up in Questions, Coffee, and Cars about this compared to the CRV for size, but here's me getting in the back seat. It is comfortable. This is a really nicely packaged vehicle.
Comparing the RDX to other competitors like the Lincoln Corsair and the Audi Q5, the RDX offers 42 inches of front row legroom, which is over an inch more than the Q5, but an inch less than the Corsair. Second row legroom at 38 inches is good, offering more than the Audi, but about half an inch less than the Corsair.
Lift up the cargo area and look at that. It is really quite roomy.
Cargo space behind the second row at 31.1 cubic feet is more than both of these competitors, and the same goes for overall cargo capacity. The RDX has 79.8 cubic feet of space, which is substantially bigger than these 2 competitors.
So we're going to find out more about how does it compare to the CRV. Let's get into it.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
I like the RDX. I do think it's a really good option, but how does it hold its own with the newer competition, like the GV70 and the new GLC?
Well, I think it answers partly in your question there. They are newer. GLC, the new one, is just arriving at dealers in the next couple of weeks, and the GV70 has been out. This was introduced. It has had a little tweak since 2019, but you know what? If you're looking at the way it handles in performance, this one actually has quite a bit of power standard out of the box. The GV70 has more, but it has more than the GLC.
Yeah, and the new GLC is going to have 295 pound-feet of torque, so more than this, but less horsepower. So In Canada, the pricing for the GLC is not available on the website, but it is in the US. And the new one's going to start just over $49,000. And you know you're going to have to add packages and options and all that stuff.
That's what they're good at.
Yeah, so in the US, the RDX is a good deal. You can get a pretty good price point for the base model, and there's lots of trims to choose from. In Canada, maybe you want to get the GLC that is going away. I mean, it really has held up, hasn't it?
Yeah, you know what? We talked about it in a recent Questions, Coffee and Cars, the standalone segment.
Yeah.
That even though it's just about to be replaced, the one that they're selling currently is still actually very relevant. It is still a great product.
And I built a GLC, the previous model, with all the extra features, including the heated steering wheel, and it came in just under $60,000 Canadian. So do you want a Mercedes-Benz or an Acura? And then the Genesis GV70, the 2.5T in Canada, remember you could buy that base model for under $50,000?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, not anymore.
Sounds like Acura.
Yes. Now it's $57,500. But if you move up another package, that's where you get kind of those extra features that you get in this top trim RDX, and it's around the same price. So you have to decide, Acura, Genesis, or Mercedes-Benz. The RDX seems to be a near perfect vehicle, but when I played with the trackpad at the dealership, I was instantly turned off. It's such an easy fix too. Do you think Acura will move away from the touchpad?
Well, they have to move everything around in the dash, and this is what I would do. I would move the radio where the heat controls are, and then I would get rid of the big dynamic shifter thing in the middle, which you don't use very often, and then maybe put it down where the trackpad is. It could be reconfigured. I don't think they're going to do it, but if I was in charge, that's what I would do.
I would put the Honda Accord interior in here, and I think everybody would be really happy. Traditional shifter, no trackpad. How does the interior space of the RDX compare to the CR-V? I love the room in my CR-V, but the buzzy engine drives me crazy. The bigger engine in the Acura would be nice.
Well,
Yes,
I was just getting all the camera gear ready in the back cargo area. It's big, and this is the strong point of this vehicle. It does a lot of things right.
The CR-V has gotten bigger. Honda has made it quite a bit bigger than the outgoing model. So the RDX offers more front row legroom. The CR-V has more second row legroom. Cargo space behind the second row goes to the CR-V with more space, but overall cargo space, it's the RDX. It's a bit of a mix.
I think if you went out of the CR-V and you went into this, you would forget all about the CR-V.
Yeah.
Because they're close in size, but this is much nicer on the inside.
And it handles better.
And the engine is better.
Yeah.
So you won't miss the CR-V.
No.
You might miss the car payment, but that's about it. And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
Love the RDX. Does Acura have plans for a hybrid model? I just realized that they don't really have any hybrid offerings, and that's surprising being with Honda.
I'm surprised you said in the question, especially coming from a brand like Honda Acura, because the reality is they only have two hybrids. They have the CR-V and the Accord hybrid. They haven't really been pushing the whole hybrid thing that much. Not like Toyota that has, I think, 20-something hybrids in their lineup. It's crazy.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Honda got rid of the Clarity at a time. Well, I shouldn't say at a time, just before gas prices went up. I think that would have been a pretty good seller in the end.
I know, Andrew, you just can't get past ugly. It was just ugly. Well, we haven't heard anything about hybrids. What we do know from Honda is they have the Prologue, which is their electric vehicle based on the same platform with General Motors, and they will make an Acura version of that.
And as far as I understand, after reading lots of articles, Acura says that they're going straight to EVs, pure EVs, not adding hybrids or plug-in hybrids to the mix. Same as Genesis. They're going straight to EVs as well.
So what's the fuel economy like on this, and more in our vital stats?
Let's start with pricing. We'll do Canada first and then we'll move on to the US. The A-Spec model starts at just under $57,500 and the top trim is just over $62,500 Canadian. In the US, the base all-wheel drive model starts at just over $43,500 and the top trim is just over $53,500 US.
Here's the fuel economy, 11.3 liters per 100 kilometers city, 9.1 on the highway. That's 21 miles per gallon city, 26 miles per gallon highway. This RDX can tow 1,500 pounds. The warranty is 4 years, 80,000 kilometers or 50,000 miles. So this is a compact premium crossover vehicle. What else can you buy?
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Lexus NX 350 with a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, 275 horsepower, and a starting price just under $56,000.
The Genesis GV70 with a 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine, 300 horsepower, and a starting price of $57,500.
The Lincoln Corsair has a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with 250 horsepower and a starting price just under $49,000.
The Audi Q5 45 with a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder and a mild 48-volt hybrid system, 261 horsepower, and a starting price just over $51,000.
So there are 4 premium compact SUVs for you to consider.
Lightning round, 2 things we like, 2 things we like to see improve.
I really like the way that this handles. Acura did a nice job.
It is very comfortable.
What I'd like to see is a new interior. This has got to go.
Can we, I guess we have to limit it to 2.
Yeah.
So the interior and, I don't know, all of this. And I'm with Andrea, all of this.
If you're looking for a sporty crossover, check out this RDX.
You know why they went with A-Spec only for Canada?
Why?
Because it's the only one they sell, eh?
Oh my gosh.
Eh? Get it?
Wow.